Good day, Professor. This is Group 4 of the OPMT class, and we're here to make our presentation on the Pracware Incorporated. And with me in this presentation are my colleagues. We have Alien, Sukanda, Sunanda, and myself, Ofure. So I'll move immediately into the overview. Okay, so Trackware Incorporated is a mid-sized apparel manufacturer operating in a competitive, cost-sensitive environment. This simulation allowed us to experience real operational challenges like production flow, forecasting, supplier reliability, and financial outcomes. Each decision we made affected multiple parts of the system, just like the real operations management. So our team strategy, we built it around 4 pillars, which was cost leadership, to reduce waste and operate efficiently, high quality contract selection, throughput, bottleneck removal to increase throughput, and a balanced scorecard mindset, connecting operations, finance, and customer impact. So these principles helped guide consistent decision making across all modules. So our team roles, so we also divided responsibility across the team. I was the leader account, and then I handled production and layout. Sukanda handled finance, Alien handled contract selection, and Sunanda handled supply chain coordination. The main objectives for each, okay, yeah, these are team roles. So the main objective for this task was we focused on the objective across all modules. So we used the objective that was laid out across all modules to ensure that our production was efficient and went smoothly. The next thing we did was to pick out a layout and bottleneck. So this layout decision was the linear process layout we chose. So we chose a linear process layout because it supports standardized tasks and provides clear, predictable material flow. And that's why we chose it. So this made it easier to identify where work in progress was accumulating and where slowdowns were occurring. The next we did was to identify bottlenecks. So we identified two main bottlenecks, which was at the receiving station where materials weren't being sorted as fast as it was meant to be sorted, and then the sewing and the finishing. So at that point where some of the machines were breaking down and slowing down, we began to have delays with our production. The next thing was to improve, so we took some actions. So we had to reassign staff to those stations that were overloaded, and then we improved scheduling to reduce idle time. Also, we prioritized the high value contracts, which helped us to maximize our profits, and we aligned material ordering with forecasting. So we did all of this just to ensure that the process went smoothly. So I would then hand over to Sunanda to take us through the other part of it.
Thank you, Adi. Can you, yeah. So next, on this section, we'll go through supply chain and inventory management analysis for the modules 2 and 3. Here, we did choose these suppliers because they were reliable and they were on time delivery for the products that were requested. And we also made sure that we looked into cost, quality, and lead time reliability with the suppliers. And what happened was, as a result of that, the quality satisfaction was 83%, and the delivery time was on-time delivery when it came to module 2. And while we moved to the next module, it apparently dropped to 40% due to market research, and we had to go through our bidding process. And I do have quite some recommendations here. When we look into the safety stock principles, EOQ and GIT for our process, first we need to strengthen the supplier quality reliability. So in the simulation, we noticed that major differences between vendors, especially when contracts required higher grade materials. We used formal supplier scorecards, and we consistently evaluated the suppliers on cost, quality, and reliability, and their lead time as well. And then we did make sure that the economic order quantity and just in time went more systematically instead of relying on our own intuitions. We made sure that we had enough stock available to meet the needs and the production running. And coming to the improving capacity and planning and bottleneck management was essential. During this module, equipment like sorting and drying became bottlenecks for us, where we had to bring in those machinery for our production to prevent the delays. This means the equipment purchases or the staffing decisions are made based on the real demand rather than just reacting too late. And the next thing we looked into was maintaining a small but strategic level of safety stock on high volume materials. We did have several high volume materials running through. And during this in simulation, we made sure that we did not run out of the materials. We quickly went back to the suppliers and we did our safety stocking for the high required materials. And finally, it is very important to monitor the seasonal demand. So, since this is a clothing business, the seasonal demands were very important that we looked into the hot products and seasonal products. And since we ran the simulation in January, my opinion here or recommendation here would be we had to work through the deliveries that we had to do it in spring and summer, so we are not running short of the deliveries and we are on time and not delaying, and we had enough quantity to supply during those time. So the production should have been started earlier, maybe in the January for the hot products, which would have maybe made our quality and the inventory completed by the required time in module 3. And overall, these five recommendations and the early seasonal planning significantly can improve our quality and the supply chain and our efficiency as well. So now I'm moving over to the HR and I'm handing over to Sugandha to go through this slide.
Okay, moving on to section 4 about forecasting and contract bidding. So in module 3, our main focus was improving forecasting and selecting the right contracts. We used a 3-period moving average and exponential smoothing with a constant of 0.3 to estimate short-term demand. These tools helped us make better decisions to be able to complete 5 contracts. However, the system became overloaded because we accepted more contracts at the same time than our capacity could handle. As a result, only 60% of our orders were completed on time and quality dropped to 40%. High variability in materials and labor combined with underestimating our safety stock caused delays across the production process. The key takeaway is that forecasting is useful only when contract selection is aligned with real production capacity. If you see the summary of the module 3, you will see that we can be able to complete um, the contract, but we will not gain much the account balance. So moving on to module 4 on section 5, HR and capacity planning. Um, we faced significant HR and capacity challenges. Quality dropped to 35%. From last time, 40%. We were not able to meet any of the module goals. Even though we hired additional workers to help and support, but just because of we did not invest in training and cross training. So that's why we had the insufficient workers to work for us. This created bottlenecks in cutting and sewing because workers could not support each other during peak workload. Our scheduling was not load balanced, which caused long waiting times and queues. And if you're moving on to the next slide, you will see the importance for workforce flexibility is very important, and also the proper capacity planning is also important. Simply increasing head count does not solve problems if skill development and workflow balance are missing. Moving on to the next slide about the scheduling and job planning. So when we looked deeper into scheduling, our Gantt charts revealed several issues. Contracts were overlapping heavily, which strained capacity at multiple state workstations. We also saw frequent rework loops, which increased cycle times and lowered efficiency. Priority scheduling wasn't applied consistently, meaning slow job often blocked urgent high penalty contracts. This lack of coordination across workstations contributed to delays and ultimately zero goal achievement in this model. Job shop logic was only partially implemented, although the team attempted to start with urgent contracts. Workstation bottlenecks and skill gaps prevented efficient. The lesson here is that consistent sequencing rules and better real-time scheduling are necessary for smooth operation. Overall, using Gantt charts and scheduling tools help improve planning, reduce rework, and ensure that labor and capacity are aligned before accepting new contracts. If you see the Gantt chart here, you will see that most of the contracts are overlapping by week 3, 4, and 5, also 6. So that's why we cannot produce our product on time. Moving on to section 6 for the new branch. Module 5 introduced a new branch and the result mix. On the positive side, quality improved sharply from 35 up to 94% and throughput increased to 70 completed contracts. However, on-time performance dropped from 64% to 47%, and the company's net worth declined to short $156,000. Despite adding capacity, coordination between the two branches was poor. Workflow inconsistency and unbalanced scheduling caused delays and rework. This shows that increasing capacity only works when both locations follow aligned process and communication is strong. If you see the or the summary, you will see that we can complete the up 17 contract. But if you see that the net worth is negative more than $150. For my recommendation for this, to improve performance in future models, we recommend the following. First, use more accurate forecast-based contract selection, so don't overload the system. Second, strengthen training and cross-training before expanding capacity. Third, balance workloads across branches and standardize workflows to reduce rework. Five, use Gantt chart priority schedule to ensure urgent contracts are completed on time. These changes align with key operations principles such as capacity planning, bottleneck reduction, and lean process flow. I will move this to the next person, Omar. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, I had a cough. Okay, moving on to financial performance. So we entered into module 6 with negative net worth due to early bottlenecks, material shortages, and late penalties. So as operations stabilized, especially focusing on workflow, we saw a steady upward trend in net worth, even though we didn't reach profitability. So we have the material and labor cost breakdown. So material costs were highly variable due to rush orders and supplier delays. Some suppliers did not supply completely, they just supplied a bit, and then we had to go back to check if they were going to supply the rest and all. So once receiving stabilized, material spending became more predictable. Labor costs also increased because of hiring. We had to hire more hands in different departments to ensure production was efficient. So, but this investment improved productivity, productivity and reduced rework. So, what drove the net worth change? So, we have drivers of net worth change. It was the financial improvements were driven by reduced idle time, higher throughput, better contracts and alignment, and more accurate forecasting. These were the factors that improved um, financial improvements. So, my key takeaway from this is that okay, so we also have the slide on contract performance. So we focused on high quality contracts and then we had better forecasting. So we had fewer late penalties because we worked well on our on the orders. And then we also had reliable fulfillment of orders. So we have the key takeaway from this session, which is that the overall of Section 7 shows that financial performance improved only after operations issues were resolved. As soon as we resolved bottlenecks, every other thing improved. So we would actually say that operations and finance are inseparable. Optimized workflows, reliable suppliers, and accurate forecasting were the real drivers behind the financial turnaround of this project. I would hand over to Sunanda.
Thank you. Thank you, Oma. So here we are looking into the circular economy, sustainability, and just in time. So on our simulation, I'm highlighting how circular economy principles and sustainability were applied throughout the simulation. First, the circular economy focuses on minimizing the waste and keeping materials in use as for as long as it's possible. In this module, we reflected through reducing unnecessary material orders, optimizing productions, and avoiding excess inventory. Even simple actions like matching production closely to demand helped cut down the scrap and overstocking, which in turn actually reduced our holding costs as well. So we also see early forms of reverse logistics, mainly through the reuse of materials and preventing disposals by adjusting production schedules. Instead of letting items expire in our storage, we made use of them as well. And from the sustainability viewpoint, we help lower the environmental footprint by ordering it well ahead and trying to bulk order things. And just in time production played a key role as well. It reduced, like I said, the inventory costs, and it minimized the waste and limited energy that needed for additional storages. It also helped us to ensure that the materials were used whenever needed, supporting both efficiency and environmental responsibility. And if you could move on to the next slide, please. Here we are looking into blockchain traceability and resilience that we went through here. This slide actually looks more into blockchain, where blockchain is useful in supply chain because it provides full traceability for materials. Every transaction that we went through and recorded, it improves transparency and helps verify the quality, authenticity, and compliance. In real time industry setting, this actually helps to build trust with suppliers and reduces the risk of fraud or disputes. In terms of resilience, in the simulation, we demonstrated the importance of supplier diversity. We worked through different suppliers and vendors. The risk of delay was met. There were no shortages from a single supplier. Would have maybe would have resulted in a shortage, but we didn't go through that. We made sure to look into different suppliers, and we ensured that the production continued even if we had different suppliers coming in with the materials. And looking into the lean systems, including JIT, also contributed to resilience by improving responsiveness and reducing our bottlenecks. This ability to quickly adjust the production and to match new contracts and material availability made the supply chain more adaptable. And overall, combining these three strategies, our supply chain was stable, ethical, and efficient throughout the modules that we worked on. And I'm done with my blockchain and traceability resilience here, and I'm handing over to Eileen for the next slide.
Awesome. Thank you, Sonanda. And my name is Eileen. In this section, I will be talking about what we learned in the simulation activity. The most important decision we made was improving how materials arrived at the receiving station. Before we fixed it, materials were slow to arrive and the production was delayed. When we improved this part, everything got faster. So we also upgraded machines, which helped us reduce the stoppages. This supports the idea that a system is only as strong as its slowest point. Next slide, I will be talking about the response to performance challenges. While we were doing this activity, we faced many problems like late deliveries, low quality work, and not enough materials. We fixed these issues by changing schedules, reassigning workers, hiring new employees, and improving how we sorted materials. We also trained workers so they could make fewer mistakes. Training helped improving our overall quality. So next slide is what we would do differently. If we did the simulation again, we would definitely choose fewer contracts when our production capacity was low. This would help us to avoid penalties, and we would also reassign the right workers for the right job and start training much earlier. We learned that we needed more safety stock because suppliers sometimes took longer than expected. Finally, using a scheduling method called earliest due date would help us deliver on time. Next one is trade-off profit, quality, and sustainability. So this simulation activity showed us that we must balance profit. It's very important in any business to balance profit, quality, and sustainability. High quality materials help us make better products and increase cost as well. So choosing cheaper suppliers save money and but also increases risk at the same time. So sustainability planning help reduce waste, and it is important for long term success. This showed us that the business cannot be perfect in all areas at the same time. They must make a smart trade-off and smart decisions. Next one is conclusion and implementation plan. Overall, this activity showed was one of the activities that shows the decision making can affect the whole system. When we fix a production delay, productivity improve. When we pick the better suppliers, deliveries become more reliable and costs went down. Forecasting help us choose contracts wisely, and a strong HR decision improve quality and production speed. Good operations manage help both the business and the customer. So making a decision again can affect the whole system overall. So our the short-term plan for the next slide, it's from 0 to 3 months. In this short term, the organization should focus on creating a stable production process. This includes improving forecasting, planning, scheduling better, and keeping the right amount of safety stock. And basic employee training is also important so workers can do their jobs correctly and avoid mistakes. So a medium term plan, which is 3 to 12 months. Between 3 to 12 months, the company should train workers to perform more than one task. This creates flexibility and help prevent delays. The company should also improve scheduling systems and a strained relationship with suppliers and improve communication between different locations. So doing these steps together improve overall performance. And a last one, which is the long-term plan. It's in the long-term plan, the organization should invest in the automation and sustainability program using blockchain and can also improve transparency and trust in the supply chain. These long-term actions support growth and help the business stay strong in the future. Thank you for your attention to this presentation.
Thank you.